Yo, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another reaction video. We got Caleb Williams, the perfect quarterback prospect in the 2024 NFL Draft. Let's check this out. I know everybody's been really dick riding Caleb Williams ever since the start of the college football season last year. I truly don't think he's the best quarterback in the draft class. I still think it's Jayden Daniels, but we all know that it's probably set in stone already that Caleb Williams is going to be the #1 overall pick. But let's see what this video talking about.
I think it's safe to say that Chicago should have their future quarterback very soon. We've all expected Caleb Williams to go first overall for a long time now. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Don't overthink it. He's the guy. Caleb Williams was born and raised in Washington, D.C.
Imagine if they pull the fucking rabbit. Oh my gosh, pull the fucking rabbit out of the hat and draft fucking Drake May or Jayden Daniels. That shit would be crazy.
Behind Quinn Ewers. Caleb started his true freshman season as the backup to Spencer Rattler. Rattler was the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy and was coming off of throwing for 3,000 yards with 28 touchdowns to 7 interceptions as a redshirt freshman. He was a guy with a
we just did a video on Spencer Rattler last week.
Top quarterback in the 2019 class. He had a good season in 2020, which came after a stretch of Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and Jalen Hurts all starting at quarterback. Rattler was supposed to be
that was a huge fucking drop off.
Until he wasn't. He started the first 6 games of the year for the Sooners and had nearly 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. Then he was benched in the second quarter against Texas and didn't play another snap at Oklahoma. He went on to transfer to South Carolina, and he will be hearing his name called at some point in the draft, but not as high as Caleb Williams.
Nowhere near as high as Caleb Williams.
And just ran away with the job.
That shit is crazy. Look at it. He runs just like Patrick Mahomes.
Touchdown and followed it up with almost 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, plus a rushing touchdown against TCU. His best game definitely came against Texas Tech, though. He passed for 400 yards and 6 touchdowns. His worst game was against Baylor, the first loss of the season for OU. He did score a touchdown on the ground, but he didn't throw for one and had 2 interceptions, half of what he had on the entire season. Oklahoma's only other loss of the year was to Oklahoma State, as Caleb threw 3 touchdowns. But OU did end up winning the Alamo Bowl over Oregon and Anthony Brown. It was a good team. Wide receiver Marvin Mims and running back Eric Gray were both drafted in 2023. Caleb ended the season with 1,900 yards, 21 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and 442 yards and 6 touchdowns rushing.
Damn.
Was second team All Big 12, and
that little cut was nasty.
That wasn't the case. Lincoln Riley decided to leave Oklahoma to become the head coach at USC. He was very successful at OU. He won 3 straight Big 12 championships, all before Caleb Williams even got on campus.
Oh
he moved on to Los Angeles, and USC was good.
He brought Caleb Williams with him.
A lot of that was thanks to Caleb Williams, who transferred with Riley to keep the band together. Sports are, for better or for worse, a business at the end of the day. Lincoln Riley did what was best for him, and it was in Caleb Williams' best interest to go along with him. Clearly, that all worked out. Now, Caleb Williams was sensational in 2022. He was the most exciting player to watch in college football. It was just highlight play after highlight play. Caleb didn't have a single game all year with more than a single interception and had 9 games with 4 or more touchdowns. He had an incredible 4-game stretch in Pac-12 play where he threw for 16 touchdowns, rushed for another, and didn't throw a pick. He passed for 5 touchdowns against Arizona and then did it again against Utah in USC's first loss of the season, where they lost 40.
He could never beat Utah, bro. That was his kryptonite right there.
USC rolled through the rest of the regular season and made it to the Pac-12 championship game to face off against Utah with a likely chance at making the college football playoff. But again, Utah. The Utes didn't need a last-ditch miracle to win this one, though. They scored 23 points in the fourth quarter and won 47-23. USC followed it up with a loss to Tulane in the Cotton Bowl after Michael Pratt, another quarterback that'll hear his name get called at the draft, threw a touchdown with just 9 seconds remaining to win 46-45. USC was still great, but it was a little disappointing after it went with 2 losses to Utah. But Caleb Williams was still spectacular. He ended up passing for 4,537 yards,
And it was enough
42
to
touchdowns, and
win the
5
Heisman.
interceptions, and he rushed for 382 yards and 10 touchdowns. Caleb was all the talk and ended up winning the Heisman Trophy over CJ Stroud, Max Duggan, and Stetson Bennett. USC had quite the wide receiver that year too, Jordan Addison. He finished with almost 900 yards and 8 touchdowns, but there was actually a big step down for him from the season prior, where he had about 1,600 yards and 17 touchdowns.
Damn, a huge step down.
To play for back-to-back Heisman finalists. Kenny Pickett finished third behind Bryce Young and Aiden Hutchinson. Addison went on to be a first-round pick, and there was plenty of other talent on that team that stuck through last season too. Brendan Rice and Taj Washington both played both seasons with Caleb at USC, as did Mario Williams, who was at OU with Caleb before also transferring. Then there's running back Marshawn Lloyd, who was at USC only in 2023. There was a lot of
I just did a highlight reaction on Brendan Rice and Taj Washington.
Caleb Williams did start.
That should be out in a couple days or so.
He didn't have an interception and had thrown for 15 touchdowns and rushed for 3. It looked like he could be on his way to another Heisman Trophy. And then USC faced Colorado with all the hype around.
This was shut down. This was shut down his Heisman candidate.
And it does kind of sound like it was a good game, but it really wasn't. The Trojans went out 21-0.
Yeah, they were fucking them up.
48-21 late in the third quarter. USC did have a dogfight the next week against Arizona, and it took triple overtime for them to win 43-41. USC improved to 6-0, and they and Caleb Williams were playing well. But then everything fell apart really, really fast. Caleb had the worst game of his collegiate career
Against Notre Dame,
where he threw 3 interceptions and a loss.
Sheesh.
USC followed it up with a win over Cal, but then lost 3 straight games to finish the season 7-5. It was a really bad way to end the season. Caleb Williams had such a good collegiate career, but the end was a mess. Still, he had another good year where he passed for 3,333 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. He also had 142 yards and 11 touchdowns on the ground. Caleb ended up opting out of the Holiday Bowl, and 4-star recruit Miller Moss balled out. He's probably the future in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
It's about time for Caleb to make his way to Chicago. If there were any questions about the Bears' intentions with the first overall pick, they've made it very clear this offseason. The Bears tried with Justin Fields. It just didn't work. They took him in the first round in the 2021 draft, and he was just never good enough. Yes, he had these insane flashes of talent and even stretches where he looked like he could be the guy, but it never all came together. Finally, it was time to move on.
Hopefully he can
So
get things
Chicago
going in
traded
Pittsburgh,
over the
though.
Steelers for a conditional 6th-round pick. The Bears have done a pretty decent job building up that offense a bit too. The only reason Chicago has the first overall pick is because it's the Panthers, who traded up to take Bryce Young last year. In that trade, Chicago got DJ Moore. He just had a 1,300-yard season.
Just
and
crazy
the #1
how
Caleb
bad they
Williams.
fleeced the
Then
Panthers out of
this
that.
offseason, the Bears traded a 4th
Crazy.
rounder to the Chargers for Keenan Allen. He just had a 12.
Like, they just continue to fleece everybody. They did the same thing with the Chargers. Because Keenan Allen could have definitely went for a first-round pick.
For Caleb Williams to go to. Tight end Cole Kmet is coming off of a
Damn.
career-high season with 700 yards, and the Bears signed DeAndre Swift to a 3-year, $24 million deal, fresh off of a 1,000-yard season in Philadelphia. Offensive coordinator Shane Waldron did a heck of a job with Geno Smith in Seattle, and now he gets to develop Caleb Williams with some good pieces around him. Caleb Williams is an absolute slam dunk of a pick. He's a heck of a quarterback prospect, and Chicago fans should feel pretty good about taking him at 1. Now, there are some silly concerns about him painting his nails or whatever, but honestly, who the hell cares?
Me, nigga? No, let me stop. Let me
And I
stop.
think he's going to have a good long career in the NFL, and all that starts with him getting his name called first overall at the draft.
Hey, man, what do you guys think about Caleb Williams? Y'all let me know down in the comments below. But that's going to do it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Turn on my post notification, get notified whenever I drop another banger video. And without further ado, I'm out. Gang.